Hello everyone, welcome to a special edition of ET News. I'm DaJuan Jackson. I go by DJ, and today we have Rochester City School District Superintendent, Dr. Carmine Peluso in studio with us. Welcome, Dr. Peluso. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, DJ. Thanks for having me.
Of course, how you doing today?
Really appreciate being here. I'm having a great start to the morning.
All right.
Figure out a better way to start it.
So, first I want to ask, what do you do as superintendent?
Yeah, it's a question I usually get pretty often, and it's really complex and sometimes hard to answer. But the main goal is to make sure that our students are getting the best possible experiences in the classroom, right? From everything that they're getting instructionally, but then there's a whole other side of this in terms of managing the day-to-day operations of a school district that has, approximately 50 buildings, 6,000 employees, making sure that fiscally the money's being spent responsibly, that we're working within our budget, and working to advocate for students, working with a lot of community people to make sure that our kids get what they need, and we're able to deliver it in a model that best suits them.
So what's the most challenging part about those 50 buildings, those 6,000 employees, those finances? What's the most challenging part?
Yeah, I think that the most challenging part is how do you determine what you're going to use your resources on and what you're not going to use your resources on, right? Everyone has a model or something they would like to do, and you have to kind of evaluate and see how you could use those resources in a way that is conducive to as many people as possible to get the most return on your investment, right? To get the most bang for your buck, in essence. That becomes difficult because sometimes you have to say no, and saying no is not always the most fun thing to do.
Right.
The other part of it is, there's always day-to-day emergencies and situations that you have to, respond to, adjust to. A boiler could break tomorrow, right? We have to spend money on boiler, right? To heat buildings. Anything could kind of happen that makes things not easy to plan for at times, right? And so all of those things become problems that you have to solve. That's also the fun of the job, right? You have to get together with a group of people, work to solve a problem to make sure that we're doing the best thing possible.
Okay. So we had both Beatrice LeBron and Isaiah Santiago in studio, both two amazing commissioners. And we talked about a reconfiguration plan with them, and I want to know what schools are closing and why did you close those specific schools?
Yeah, it's a question. It's a good question. So first, the reconfiguration, before we talk about what schools are closing, is really about two things. It's about getting our district to be and operate within the size of our current enrollment, right? We've had declining enrollment over time, and we need to make sure that we're adjusting our schools to fit what our current enrollment is. The other aspect of this is, as students, some of you may have gone to pre-K-6 buildings, some of you may have gone to pre-K-8 buildings, some may go to 7-8 buildings, 7-12 buildings. Is really making it easy for our students and families to know that they're going to go to a building for pre-K-6, they're going to go to a 7th and 8th grade building, and they're going to go to a 9th and 12th grade building. So we had to reconfigure all of our district to kind of fit that model. So that also became a part of it. The other part of this was we've renovated a large amount of buildings. And when we renovate them, we get money from the state to renovate. And the state invests in our schools. And we've renovated a lot of buildings, and we're not maximizing those buildings to the fullest potential. So we have some buildings that we've renovated that could hold 600 kids that have 300 kids. And so what the state has said is, if you want this next phase of money to renovate schools, you have to maximize your other buildings. So that kind of forced us into a situation to make some decisions on school closures. School closures are never fun. It's not the part of the job that I enjoy, but so from that we had to make some decisions, and we ended up deciding to close School 2, 10, 39, 106, Rise, I think those are the 5, and then Northeast as well for a high school. Now, school closures are very different than building closures, right? So you may close a school and still use the building. And I'll give you a for instance. School 2 has just been recently renovated. School 10 has recently been renovated. We're closing those 2 schools, but 2 other schools are going in there. And they're coming from the Freddie Thomas campus.
Okay.
And the Freddie Thomas campus currently holds School 53 and School 25. Freddie Thomas is going to be a 7th and 8th grade building. It's going to be one of our middle schools, so we had to move those schools out and move. So it becomes really complicated because there's multiple moves in here, but it's really to kind of organize the district in a way that makes sense for families. They know that it's a pre-K 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, and then to provide better opportunities for our students in each of those models.
Okay.
And then when we're making decisions for closures, just to answer the second part of your question, is we had to look at what buildings are we able to renovate, and some of them are in conditions that we're not going to be able to renovate them, so we can't invest in them, and so therefore, we had to make some decisions on what to do with those buildings, and then return them to the city. We had to look at, are they being enrolled to the fullest? Are people choosing them? How the school's performing? So we had to look at a bunch of different things to make those decisions.
Okay, so I know that people still will have a lot of questions, and like definitely the biggest question they will have is, will teaching be affected? Will the learning be affected with the students?
At the end of this, as rough as a school closure is onto a school community, when we are in a new format, I believe we will be able to resource and provide better experiences for our kids, right? Because our kids will be in top-notch facilities, right? Any of our buildings that have been renovated, I will put them against any building in the state of New York. They're beautiful. Their kids should as many kids should be in a building and have the opportunity to be in a building that's been renovated. It also helps us maximize our resources, right? Our teachers, our staff, to kind of provide resources to kids. When you spread yourself so thin, it makes it really hard to resource all of those. And education is a field right now where we're struggling to find staffing. So then you have to find uncertified or people that don't have the educational experience to go and work in those buildings, and we want to kind of limit that. And then the other thing is, it also gives us the opportunity to do extracurricular opportunities, right? Especially in our 7th and 8th grade, really giving them the opportunity to participate in sports and extracurricular activities and music. That when you have K-8s and you're spread all over the district, we had 10 K-8s, 4 7-8s, a couple 7-12s, a K-12. You can't get enough students in one spot to really maximize opportunities to get some athletics. So I think we'll build a sense of pride back into our schools. I know when I meet an Edison Tech grad, I know when I meet a Wilson grad, right? I want to get that pride back in our buildings.
So I know another big question will be, what's going on with the relocating process? Like, where will some of the teachers go? Are teachers getting fired? Are they losing their jobs? Are they gonna be getting promotions? Are they where are the teachers going? Where are the students going to?
It's a good process. So we have we'll talk with staff. For all of our staff, we have a process with them and their unions to make sure that they're distributed in a way. So teachers will be able to participate in a transfer process. They'll be able to choose a school, interview with that school, and go to that school. It goes back to, I have so many vacancies and positions being filled with staff that are not certified. It'll provide opportunities to fill those vacancies. So we're not anticipating any huge impact to staffing because we have so many vacancies, and we're able to absorb those staff into those vacancy positions. So I don't anticipate huge impacts to our current staff. The other aspect of it are the students. The students will have, and they've gone through a special lottery, a process where they are able to choose a school in their zone. So we're going to get students, they could choose a school in their zone, and we'll go through a lottery selection process to get them into a school within their zone. So part of also the reconfiguration is rezoning and making sure that we're maximizing our zones and having students go to schools within their zone.
Okay, I think that's definitely good, because I thought it was really just at random. So if you lived in one part, or you go into school in one part of the zone, you would go to another school in a whole different zone, and it would be really random. But I'm happy it's definitely a pick, in your zone.
Yeah.
So we have a question from one of our teachers at Edison. Her name is Ms. Herzog, and she asks, what is your ideal vision of a child's learning experience like? What do you see when you think about the direction of our community children regarding their time spent in schools? Many of our students, regarding their time spent in schools. Yeah.
I think, you know, the way to answer that question is for us to ask the students what their ideal experience in school is, right? You know, so we have to hear from our students, and we're starting to do this through our strategic planning process, right? I think some of our students have participated in focus groups to hear, you know, what their ideal vision and mission and importance is in seeing in our buildings. But, you know, I want our kids to have learning experiences where they feel that it brings a sense of value, right? It's important that they're engaged in the learning. Not every student is going to be engaged by every single topic, right? You know, I say this often, all the time. You know, sometimes I would get off the bus to go to English 3, you know, and I would be like, oh, I'm dreading reading Shakespeare today. But I also knew that in order to participate in some extracurricular stuff and after-school activities, I needed to get through there. So I think you also have to have different motivating factors in terms of what engages the students. You know, not everyone's going to love every single subject matter. So, you know, making it engaging, really connecting with students. The other part is I want every student to have an adult they can connect with. I think that's really important in our schools, you know, so that they're able to know that they have a support system in place when things get difficult, when things get tough. So I want to make sure that they have learning experiences, that they feel are valuable, and that they're ultimately ready for whatever the next step in life is, right? Whatever it may be, if it's college, if it's career, whatever they want to do, that the students are prepared to take on that next venture, and that we've provided a well-rounded education for students to do that.
Okay. So as I said earlier, we had Commissioner Santiago in studio, and lately, mental health has been a big topic in our schools, at certain meetings that I've been going to personally. How do you feel about him inserting this mental health curriculum?
I think any way that we could incorporate more mental health supports and structures is important. One of the big things that we've done my team has done over the last couple of years is we've created more school-based health clinics, right, and more telehealth, where we're able to give people mental health support right in school, right with the doctor, so that they could be provided some help and their family could be provided some help immediately, right? So that's one of the things that we've done to make sure mental health is supported in schools, and we'll continue that effort over the next 4 years to make sure every school has access to that. The other thing is we've really upped our rock restorative support, right? And we've also created what we call the hub, which is healing, understanding, and belonging. And it's a hub where we're bringing students and families together to work out differences and make sure that, you know, everyone is in a good frame of mind to go to school. But you know, mental health is an area that we need to make sure that we're keeping an eye on. The governor just made an announcement in her State of the State address that meant she wants to make sure that every student has access to mental health supports in schools. So I think this is an area where we're a little bit ahead of the curve. We've already implemented some of these, but you know, I think it's an ongoing conversation around what is the supports our kids, our students needs, our families needs, and how we could best help them in schools.
Okay, so speaking about student involvement and students finding the right curriculums to help them and something they could be more involved in and something they will actually find interesting, how do you feel about career and technical education? Do you feel like that could be a real help to our students? Do you feel like that should be in every school? Do you feel like that needs to be in RCSD?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a real strong commitment to career tech ed right here, right? Yeah. We're in a studio that kind of provides that. You walk around, my first teaching was here. I was in the business strand, so I understand the importance of career technical education for our students. But you know, the same thing with School of the Arts, the same thing with the International Baccalaureate program at Wilson. You know, not every student would like to do arts, not every student would like to do international baccalaureate programs, and not every student will prefer CTE, right? It's all dependent on what direction they want to go, but I believe that every student should have the opportunity to pursue a career tech education field if they so choose, right? I think we have to make sure as a district we're providing them with opportunities and fields that's going to be of interest and going to help prepare them moving forward.
Okay, so do you think CTE should be in every school?
It depends, right? I think a CTE component should be in every school, like an offering. Like you could do at School of the Arts, you have arts program, but you also have set design that could have some, CTE component. You have the technical aspect of running a production, just like you have the technical aspect of running a studio. So I think it should have some component, but to have a full-fledged CTE program in every school may not be the best way to resource things, right? I think you have to find, how most districts do it is in the suburbs, they use the BOCES model, right? So kids will go from the suburbs to the BOCES. So not every school district has a CTE component, right? I believe we need to make sure we have strong CTE offerings in our schools, and how we offer that is going to be, strong here first, because this is the tech educational school, and then we'll see what other ones we could offer throughout.
Okay, so you did bring up SOTA with the CTE thing, and I know that some schools had some application processes, and I know Edison had one not too long, a while ago. If I'm correct. They did.
I'm not, so I was trying to think back on this. In 1998, when I taught here, I don't believe there was an application process then. There was a choice for, which strand or what you wanted to pursue, right? Tech ed at that point in time used to be a 3-period block. It used to be first, second, third, seventh, eighth, and ninth. I remember that when I was teaching here, but I don't remember a application process at that point in time. I don't know how far back we could go to see, but I could do some research on it. But from my experience from 1998 forward, I don't remember any sort of application process. But.
Okay. So do you think that we need application process? Like SOTA has it, like other schools? Do you think?
Yeah, SOTA's really the only school that has an application process. I do think there should be some process for to ensure that students are interested in coming to a school before going to it and having a sense of what that school offers, right? It was one of the things that is always difficult, because I do remember this as a teacher, and not being able to get into their first choice or, right off the bat, if a student wanted to do, at that point in time, if we were doing Cisco networking, if they wanted to do Cisco networking and they didn't get in, what was their second choice? And did they really enjoy that field, right? And so it's really making sure that people are informed in what they're coming to and the expectations the school outlines for them for what they have to accomplish. When they don't become informed, that's when you have some people that are just not happy to be there. So I do think there has to be a process where people are aware and informed of what the school has to offer, and they know what their expectations are when they come in.
Okay, so Edison isn't really in the city. It still is an RCSD school, though. And many of our students, many of our teachers, some of them don't have transportation. So what can we do about that? Who can we talk to fix our transportation thing? I know buses are a big thing and a hard thing to get in RCSD. So who can we talk to about?
So I think everything runs through me. I think you also I've had some conversations with RTS, and you have a former principal of Edison, Mr. Scott, who is now the Chief Operations Officer, and we've been advocating for a bus stop outside of the school. Now, RTS runs as a business, and they have to look at their ridership, and if they're able to do that, they recognize the importance of it. They've shared with us their on-demand service, and the fact that they would like families to utilize more of the on-demand service that will get them to school here through an app, or families at a moment's notice, right? You click the app, you get a bus. It's, I think, the same fare as what it is on a traditional, and we'll get them pretty much door-to-door transportation to Lexington. That's what they're providing us at this point in time, but I will tell you that we're continuously at the table advocating for a stop out here right by the school.
Thank you. All right. So one more thing I want to ask is, I know that some kids go to live in Greece or live in other parts of Rochester or Webster or whatever. Say they want to have a choice to go here or any other RCSD school. Do you feel like you should let them? Because I heard that if a kid lives in Greece, they can't go to an RCSD school. Or if a kid lives in a certain area, they can't go to certain schools in RCSD. Do you feel like that's fair, or do you feel like that should be changed? Or
it's really dependent. So we have the urban-suburban program, right, where we lose 1,000 of our students out to suburban schools. Obviously, if students want to come here, we want to make sure that they have an opportunity to come here if they so choose. What I would be cautious of is I don't want anyone to take a seat away from our students that are here, right? So, we have beautiful programming, and I don't want to have the ability to say, well, a student from another district wants to come to this program, and therefore one of our students can't have access to that program, right? So really, yes, I'm okay with that as long as it's not at the cost of our kids, right? Our kids are our first focus, and then if there's anything else we could do in the meantime, we would take the opportunity to do that, but not at the cost of our kids.
Okay, makes sense. I like that. All right, well, Dr. Peluso, thank you for joining us today.
Anytime. You make this easy to have a conversation. You do a great job.
Thank you, sir.
And anything that I could do to help, I would love to come again and speak. You've done some outstanding jobs. It makes me proud as superintendent to see the wonderful work our students do. So thank you.
Thank you.